Jennifer, the 29-year-old, was a very popular real estate agent here in Florence. Her family is extremely emotional over her death and says the court system failed her. 29-year-old Taylor McFadden Robinson was called a rising star in the real estate world in Florence. Her family says she loved making people's dreams come true and was destined for success. But it all came to an end Sunday morning.
And to say that her life was cut short in this matter, something I can never get over, my family.
Police say Robinson's husband, Duncan Allen Robinson Jr., burglarized her house on Rice Planters Lane in Florence and shot her. Officers found the realtor dead inside.
It will never be the same for me and my family. She's major loss.
Robinson appeared before a judge Monday morning in Florence. No details about the murder were shared, but the victim's sister says Taylor McFadden tried to get an order of protection against her husband.
The system has failed us. My sister asked for a restraining order, and the judge denied it. Please do not allow the system to fail us again.
Duncan Robinson didn't say anything during the hearing. The judge didn't set bond for him, so he'll stay in jail for the time being. Robinson's family tells me she was a wonderful woman, mother, and friend.
My sister Taylor, if you knew her, you loved her. She was all about family, all about unity. If she could help you, she would.
I called the magistrate's office to check on the family's claims about the restraining orders. Now, that office says they cannot release information about orders of protection. Jennifer, many people think an order of protection is the same as a restraining order, but there's a difference.
It's kind of still.
I talked with attorney Robert Stucks out of Darlington County. He's dealt with orders of protection and restraining orders. Stucks tells me you can get a restraining order against someone who's committed at least 2 acts of harassment, stalking, other threatening behavior against you. For example, you have a neighbor that harasses you. That's grounds for a restraining order.
You would go to the magistrate's court and you would ask the judge to give you a restraining order against this person because there's a pattern of unwarranted intrusion into your life that a reasonable person would just, find offensive.
I went to Hope Hanna with the PD Coalition Against Domestic Violence to learn more about an order of protection. They see women who come in all the time wanting one. It involves people in a more close or intimate relationship, such as a husband and wife or a couple with children together. You have to prove to the family court judge that you're truly in fear of your life.
There has to be fear. There has to be a threat. There has to be something that states to the courts or from you that shows that you're in need of protection.
Here's a copy of that 12-page form for an order of protection. Now, you can go before a judge within 24 hours of filling it out in most cases. Now, I did make contact with family court today to ask if Taylor McFadden Robinson was denied an order of protection. I have been told that I can come in tomorrow to the courthouse to learn more information about that situation.
Well, Jen, last Monday, DHEC released new quarantine guidelines for teachers and staff across the state. But on Friday, Horry County schools said that they would be continuing to use the ones that they already have.
Lisa Borsier, the Horry County Schools spokesperson, says Horry County Schools evaluated the newest DHEC guidelines. DHEC saying teachers exposed to COVID-19 do not need to quarantine following a COVID exposure regardless of vaccination status. Instead, they would need to wear a mask for 10 days and test negative 5 days after the initial exposure.
They did put a provision on January 15th that if a school or school district was facing a critical staffing shortage of teachers, in order to help that school stay open, there is an allowance if school districts would like to have those teachers actually come back and teach if they're a close contact, not vaccinated, and are showing symptoms.
Borsier says they opted not to follow this DHEC recommendation, and the district will continue using their current quarantine protocols for staff. She says their current protocol says those exposed to COVID who are not fully vaccinated vaccinated have to quarantine for 5 days, even if they don't have symptoms.
We treasure our staff. We need our staff. We want to make sure that they're safe and healthy as well as their students.
Boursier says Horry County Schools does not feel they're facing a critical staffing shortage, and if they do, they have a plan.
If we feel that we cannot properly function a classroom or an entire school, we will go part-time virtual for that school. We did that at the beginning of the year for a couple of schools for a couple of days. So we'd rather do that than put our teachers, our staff, and our students at risk.
Boursier says that Horry County Schools is continuing to track their COVID numbers for staff and students daily. Looking at today's dashboard numbers on the Horry County Schools website, there were 83 in quarantine for staff members and 99 confirmed positive cases. Well, Jen, the curriculum committee for Horry County Schools has been gathering data on student performance of their virtual program since it's been offered at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. They found that many students from this first semester of this school year, all the way from kindergarten through high school seniors, are failing their classes.
42% of all of these students in our virtual school program right now are failing.
Horry County School Board member Sherry Todd says the district's virtual K-12 learning program was designed after the State Department of Education required an option for families who weren't comfortable sending their kid to school during the COVID-19 pandemic. Last semester, just over 1,600 students were in the program. 48% of 6th through 8th graders are failing, 59% of 9th through 12th graders are failing, and 46% of high school seniors are failing, taking them off track for graduation.
They're not signing in, they're not doing their work. You know, this is just not what we meant for it to be.
She says this is not providing Horry County students a quality education experience. Todd says teachers are not at fault here, as they've been offering additional help to these students like after-school tutoring, extra time to catch up on assignments, and additional guidance on lessons. And Lisa Boursier, Horry County School spokesperson, says
there's a lot of students that have a difficult time working independently and staying on task and completing assignments, and so we are seeing that as far as the number of percent of students that are actually failing one or more grades.
Superintendent Dr. Rick Maxey says these numbers are greatly concerning.
We want to be sure that our students succeed, their teachers do, and we just want to make sure that we are doing the right thing and serving our students in Horry County schools.
While Dr. Maxey says having in-person learning is what's best for Horry County students, they're looking at 3 potential options to change the program: leaving it as is, putting enrollment requirements in place, or dissolving the program altogether.
And according to the curriculum committee, that this information was pulled on December 6, 2021. And Dr. Rick Maxey says that they will be evaluating their options and how to change this program, and they'll present official recommendations to the board at their next meeting.